Today we're conquering with Mimighoul Kashtira. If you like locking down field zones while also bringing away precious resources, Mimighoul Kashtira is for you. But here's the thing. Even though Kashtira suffers a bit from being on the limited list, there's a lot that they can still do, especially with Mimighouls helping them out. In fact, this powerful tag team can shut down some of the strongest foes. And to prove it, here are 5 duels in Diamond Ring. And you'll see why Mimighoul Kashtira is your deck to lock down the competition. So here's the first one, where you'll see what conquering the field really looks like. Our field spell lets us grab our best starter. So let's bring him out. Go Kashtira Unicorn! And with Unicorn, we can go straight into our Kashtira line. But in order for us to conquer the field, there's a few key players we'll need to bring out. And here's the most important one. Come on out! Go Kashtira Shangri-Ira! But Shangri won't be able to conquer the field by itself. It needs help from the other Kashtiras. Every time cards get banished face down, Shangri lets us conquer the field by locking down one zone at a time. And what better way to start with our opponent's monster zones? But wait, the Kashtiras aren't the only ones who want in on the action. So let's bring them out. Go Mimighoul Maker! And that's another monster zone occupied. But that's not the end of it. There's more that our Mimighouls can do. So we'll bring him out. Go Giant Mimighoul! He'll let us grab Mimighoul Room, and you'll see the nasty play that we can do with it next turn. But now it's time. We're finally gonna bring out our most powerful boss monster. Go Kashtira Riseheart! And with a little bit more setup, you'll see how our Mimighoul Kashtiras will conquer our opponent's field. Let's kick things off. Shangri lets us bring out another Kashtira to get in on the action. But you'll see that we're up against a tough opponent. Yup, we're fighting Mitsurugi. And one scary thing about them is the board wipe that they can do. But here's the thing, Mitsurugi can only do that if they're able to bring out their boss monster. So, we're not gonna let that happen. Both Kashtira Unicorn and Ogre kick in to do some banishing. And of course with each one, that means Shangri gets to lock down 2 more monster zones. But our opponent is catching on to our plan. By chain linking, they do get to occupy one of the zones before Shangri gets to lock it down. But good thing for us, we'll have an answer for that. This is where our field spell comes in. Whenever Shangri uses its effect each turn, our field spell lets us destroy a card. And now we can reclaim that zone. We're getting closer to fully conquering their monster zones, but this is Mitsurugi we're facing, and it's not over yet. And there's still a possibility for them to wipe our field. Let's banish one of their cards right now. And like before, that means Shangri gets to lock down another monster zone. With just one zone left, our opponent flips up the Mimighoul to free up the spot. But now here's the nasty surprise. We're gonna put a sleeping Mimighoul to occupy the last monster zone. And because it was placed there this turn, our opponent can't change its battle position. What? Pot of Desires? They do get to draw, but they also just banish some cards face down. So that means Shangri gets to lock down another zone. And without a way to deal with the sleeping Mimighoul, our opponent has to end their turn. Now let's show Mitsurugi the power of Mimighoul Kashtira. With their field lockdown, we're in a really good spot. But we don't know what's in their back row, so we'll still need to be careful. By attacking with Kashtira Unicorn, we can banish a card. And that means Shangri gets to use its effect while the field spell gets to destroy a card. So now we'll get rid of that back row. And we also have an answer. Go Ash Blossom! This might be overkill, but we really need to make sure that there's no way for Mitsurugi to blow up our monsters. And with their field lockdown and our opponent finally disarmed, it's finally time to push for game. So that's how we conquer the competition. Our Kashtira's got to really shine this duel, but in the next one you'll get to see some really awesome Mimighoul teamwork. Let's go! So here's the next one where you'll see a different kind of conquering through resource stripping. We do open with just Kashtira Ogre this time, so we won't get to bring out more Kashtiras. But you'll see that we can still do a lot. And like usual, we're gonna go straight for Mimighoul Maker to bring out even more of them. But get this, if we're lucky with Mimighoul Maker's coin flip, we can do something pretty cool. And it looks like we're lucky. Because we got Mimighoul Archfiend, we get to wake up Mimighoul Slime. But that's not all. With Ogre, not only do we get to scout and see that our opponent is playing branded, we also get to rip out their oh so important branded fusion. But we're not gonna stop here. Go Giant Mimighoul! And he'll grab us Mimighoul Room for next turn. But that's not all. By going to Mimighoul Throne, we can bring out the one and only Go Mimighoul Master! On a side note, here's a recent tech that I started using with Mimighouls. Because Giant Mimighoul often just ends up sitting on our field, I figured that we can do better. Since Giant Mimighoul and Mimighoul Throne are the same rank, we can do this. Come on out! Go, Utopic Draco Future! And with a little bit more setup, we'll be ready to conquer our opponent. Let's kick things off. Go Kashtira preparations! What we're looking for is to get rid of their last copy of Branded Fusion, since we already got rid of their only other copy. But it won't be so easy. Our opponent chain blocks us from negating Alibur's search. Well, it's time to use Draco Future. Although we stop our opponent from dumping another floater into the grave, Alibur does go uninterrupted. So that means that they can grab their Branded Fusion. But before they can use it, we're gonna have Kashtira Ogre rip out another card from their deck. And there goes an Albaz. Now here it comes! Although we can't stop Branded Fusion from going off, we can at least make this the last time they will. And here's how we'll do it. Go Kashtira Birth! With Birth, we're gonna get rid of another Albaz and their last copy of Branded Fusion. Although our resource stripping conquest is going really well, our opponent isn't done yet. On the bright side, our opponent should have a much weaker grind game now that they have no more Branded Fusions, plus only one copy of Albaz. So as long as we can deal with their current board, we should be able to outlast them. We just need to deal with their Mirror Jade. Go Mimighoul Room! And we have just the answer. Go Artifact Lancia! Because we were patient by not shotgunning Lancia at the start of the turn, our Kashtiras were able to banish our opponent's resources. Plus, now we're able to also stop Mirror Jade. Now it's time to push our advantage. Since we already stripped out their Branded Fusions and two of their Albazes, if we clear their board, they should struggle to follow up. Go Mimighoul Maker! It's time to wake up our sleeping Mimighoul, and also rip out another card of Ogre. But our opponent isn't going to let that slide. Branded Banishment actually uses our sleeping Mimighoul Dragon as material. That's a crime! At least with Ogre, we're going to rip out their Super Poly that they would have drawn next turn. But that's not all. Kashtira preparations will get the trigger. And it's a powerful effect. Not only do we get to look at their hand, but we also get to banish a card from it too. But now it's time to get rid of that sleeping Mirror Jade. On a side note, I slightly misplay here by being way too cautious of Mirror Jade's floating destruction. I definitely could have destroyed all their monsters through battle before saving our Mimighouls with room. Oops. And with that, it's now back to our opponent's turn. At this point, our opponent has a weaker follow-up, so the main thing that we need to watch out for is our last copy of Albaz. And speaking of which, here he comes. But we have an answer. Whoa, branded in red? Although we are able to stop Albaz from fusing away our monsters, branded in red lets them now go into another Mirror Jade. And now this is their last stand. Even though Mirror Jade ends up banishing one of our monsters, we have more than enough follow-up to bring back whatever gets banished. And with Kashtira Fenrir and preparations ready to strip away cards again, they probably got the point. With some Mimighoul teamwork, our Kashtiras got to really show how they conquer through resource stripping. But in the next duel, you'll see how our boss monster can really carry the game. So here's the next one where you'll see how our Kashtiras hold the line before backup arrives. We actually open with a pretty solid hand with Unicorn and Dungeon. Droll and Lock. Although this slightly messes with our Kashtira line, this does completely shut down our Mimighoul line. So with a tad more setup, we'll just go into our boss monster. Come on out, go Kashtira Riseheart! So they're playing Yubel, and we're gonna stop their search. On the bright side, Yubel does rely a lot on their graveyard, so having a Riseheart banish everything does come in pretty handy. But our opponent has something that almost costs us the game. Luckily for us, our opponent decides to draw for more starters instead of stealing our monster. We definitely don't want Spirit Gate to go off, so we're gonna stop them here. Go a Riseheart! Something neat is that because a Riseheart gets Kashtira Theosis banished again, we'll gain some follow-up for next turn. But our opponent still has more for us. With Riseheart's banishment used up, we'll have to rely on our back row to hopefully slow them down. If we can stall out our opponent this turn, our Mimighoul army will be ready to back us up next turn. So we gotta try. With 2 monsters on the field, let's stop them here. Go, Super Polymerization! Come on out, Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Although Super Poly gets rid of their monsters, Nightmare Throne annoyingly gets to bring one of them back. With their Yubel monster, we're not only going to be taking some damage, but also losing our monsters. But as long as we survive this turn, both Mimighoul Dungeon and Kashtira Birth will let us bounce back next turn. With Kashtira Birth, we can revive Unicorn to start up our Kashtira line. Their Yubel's effect goes off, but that's gonna cost them. And there goes Phantom of Yubel. With a bit more Kashtira setup, we're gonna bring someone out. And now it's time! Go, Kashtira Shangri-Ira! But our opponent knew what we were up to. That won't stop Riseheart, but that's gonna cost them. Go, Kashtira Birth! We're gonna banish their precious monsters in their grave. But we're not stopping here. It's time to release the Mimighouls! What's neat is that because Shangri got to use its effect due to Kashtira Birth, we will be able to bring out a Riseheart pretty easily. But before we do, our Mimighoul army has to finish assembling. And now it's time! By just using Shangri, we can bring him out again. Come on out! Go, Kashtira Riseheart! But that's not all. We're also going to bring out Giant Mimighoul. The goal here is that we really need to get rid of our opponent's back row before we can go for any attacks. So we'll have Giant Mimighoul get rid of Eternal Favor, while Riseheart gets rid of Nightmare Pain. Unfortunately though, with our effects used up, there's no point in attacking Yubel this turn with our monsters. Now here's some Mimighoul thinking. If our opponent flips up Mimighoul Archfiend, that tells us that they probably need a normal summon. But with Mimighoul Room, we can just place down another Mimighoul, and now they're locked out of normal summon. But it looks like they still have some follow-up. Our opponent is now trying to destroy their Yubel, but we're not going to let that happen. You know you can't normal summon, right? And there's no way we're gonna let them use Nightmare Pain. Go, Kashtira Riseheart! But our opponent has one more trick up their sleeve. So here comes Phantom of Yubel. Although that's their only monster, we do need to be careful about using monster effects, cause that will start a whole Yubel chain. But it's a good thing that our Kashtiras have just the answer for this situation. And there goes Phantom of Yubel. Our Kashtira's got to really hold the line for our Mimighoul army. But in the next duel, you'll see how they'll get out of an even tougher spot. So here's the next one, where you'll see how our Kashtiras will once again hold the line. And of course, we're gonna start out with Kashtira Unicorn to get things going. But just like last time, our opponent has something for us. But at least Unicorn can still punish our opponent. Hopefully this will slow them down enough so that they don't destroy us next turn. And like last time, we're gonna go straight for our Kashtira boss monster. Come on out! Go, Kashtira Riseheart! We don't have anything other than a Riseheart and Birth to hold off our opponent. But Riseheart's banishment should slow down heroes to some degree, since they like to use their graveyard. And here comes their starter. So what we want to do is be patient and use a Riseheart's banishment at one of their choke points. But you'll see that our opponent isn't gonna let that happen. Whoa, triple tactics thrust? Because they're definitely going to be using Dark Ruler very soon, we have to use a Riseheart's effect right now. But what sucks is that no matter which card a Riseheart tries to banish, their Vision Hero can just dodge it. And here comes Dark Ruler. So we're in a really tough spot. Our Riseheart can't do anything and our opponent's cards will no longer get banished. The only thing that we can do now is hope that Kashtira Birth can banish some key cards in their graveyard. So we'll just have to wait for them to use a spell. And here it is. It looks like our opponent doesn't have enough to go full wombo combo on us, but they will get to steal our Riseheart with Neil's Lord. But before they do, it's a perfect time to trigger Kashtira Birth. Banishing cards with Kashtira Birth is actually quite critical because it stops some of their extenders in their grave. And because we're safe from damage due to Dark Ruler, we'll have another turn. But we're gonna push through. So our opponent shotguns the Riseheart's effect on Unicorn, which is perfectly fine. And they also get to bring out their Absolute Zero. Neilsword can only steal a monster if a card gets sent to the graveyard, and with a Riseheart on the field, that can't happen since everything gets banished. With a Riseheart no longer a threat to us, we just need to be careful about Absolute Zero's floating effect that can blow up our monsters if he leaves the field. We're gonna bring out Kashtira Fenrir and you'll see why. Since a Riseheart's mandatory effect has to go off, we're gonna take advantage of that with both Fenrir and Unicorn's trigger effects. We'll banish Neilsword with Fenrir and rip a card with Unicorn. Looks like stealing a Riseheart isn't working so well for them. But now, how will we deal with Absolute Zero? Well, you see, floating effects can only trigger if the card is in a visible state, so if we banish our Absolute Zero face down, then we'll be good. And it's a good thing that's Kashtira's specialty. At this point, it's a matter of going all in on our opponent. So we just need to give a Riseheart some more materials. There's the first material. And there's the second one. Now it's time. Go Kashtira Riseheart! With Absolute Zero out of the way, there's nothing stopping us now. Kashtira Riseheart got to really shine once again, but in the next duel, you'll see something rare that Kashtiras can do. So here's the last one where you'll see how our Kashtiras will deal with the traps heading their way. On a side note, this is a custom duel against my buddy Aspiring Duelist. But that doesn't mean we're gonna hold back. So we'll go straight into our Kashtira line. Because we have Mimighoul Maker in hand, we're gonna make sure that our Kashtiras will be ready to react with our Mimighouls. So let's bring them out. Go Mimighoul Maker! Because we haven't used up our normal summon yet, we can ensure that our Mimighoul gets flipped up even if Maker doesn't give us Archfiend. But luckily for us, we got him. Because Dragon woke up, Kashtira, Unicorn, and Ogre are ready to react. Ogre lets us know that they're playing Labrynth, and lets us rip out Dominus Impulse, cause that's the biggest Mimighoul killer. Unicorn's rip isn't as impactful. Now that our Kashtiras use their effects, we can go into our monster that will conquer the field. Go Kashtira Shangri-Ira! But that's not all, we're also going to bring out Giant Mimighoul to grab us our dungeon. And with a little bit more setup, we're good to go. So let's kick things off. Because our opponent's extra deck isn't a main resource, we're going to have Shangri bring out Ogre to focus on deck rips. And with a woken up Mimighoul Fairy, we can do it. Go Kashtira Ogre! We should be pretty good, especially with Kashtira preparations being able to react to their trap cards. But our opponent knows about this, and they play it safe this turn. And you'll see the chaos that will be coming up very soon. It's back to our turn, so that means Shangri gets to bring out another Kashtira. Things might look good for us, but it's about now where all the trouble really starts. The Rumor Cannon. Yup, our whole field gets flipped down. But that's not the end of it. With their field spell up, they're going to be able to start picking off our field. And of course, here comes lovely Labrynth. What sucks is that our opponent is going straight for our back row to cripple our recovery and banishments. Whew, at least it's over and we can start playing, right? Right? To our opponent, our turn is their turn and they're not letting in. Ugh, this is bad. We're really losing our board. Now that we can finally do something, the goal here is to get rid of lovely Labrynth. But our opponent isn't going to let that happen. Rumor Cannon again? Well, this usually never happens, but now we'll have to use our last resort. Go Kashtira Big Bang! Big Bang will make us lose a lot of our monsters, but our goal is to still get rid of lovely Labrynth. And now she's the only one trembling on their field. Go Kashtira Riseheart! Now it's time to send lovely Labrynth to the Shadow Realm. With the dust settled, this is also the perfect time to really go on the offensive. Because our opponent used transaction rollback, they had to pay half their life points, so we're gonna punish them for that. It might seem like we're short on damage, but we actually have more than enough. With our Mimighouls, we can go into the perfect one to wrap up the game. Let's bring him out! Go Giant Mimighoul! And let's blow up Labrynth's castle. Nice! our Kashtiras and Mimighouls got to have some fun. Now let's check out the build. So that's Mimighoul Kashtira. My personal take on the deck is that it's really powerful. The only thing holding the deck back is the very notable consistency hit to Kashtiras. With Unicorn at 2, Fenrir at 1, and Wraith Sloth at 1, there's only 4 starters to really get Kashtiras going. There are 2-card starters, but sometimes you can't rely on those. But even with the downside, I do find that Mimighouls bring enough balance since Mimighouls on the other hand are incredibly consistent. What's awesome about the 2 is that they can really grind well with both Mimighoul Dungeon and Kashtira Birth. So if you're a big Mimighoul fan, I highly recommend that you try them out with Kashtiras. But if you're looking for maybe another fun twist on Mimighouls, maybe you'll want to check out my other video where I combine Mimighouls with ninjas. It's super awesome. Anyways, thanks for stopping by. Bye bye!